Alright, how's everyone doing today? I'm just getting the stream posted up, kind of sent out on Twitter and everything. This is the normal early game setup, so everybody... Oh, and I just realized I accidentally posted the wrong thing in one of them, so I gotta fix it real quick. But other than that, how's everyone doing today? What's going on with you guys, and how's everyone been doing? You got a nice Saturday. I was gonna stream a little bit earlier, but Faith is streaming. I don't like to stream when anybody adjacent to me is streaming. I don't like to clash times like that. So I decided to wait a little bit, hung out in there, chatted in his chat, and now we're back to doing stuff here and moving out and doing things and whatnot and talking about all the content that happened this week. It was funny because I didn't think about it until I think it was when I saw the Fortnite Sea Apocalypse chapter, or it might have been Homura, because like a lot of the females like had like the big spotlight this week. You obviously had Lucy, you had Noelle, you had Homura, you had Anne, like I said. To a degree, Tsumugi, just because I mean like she's the main character for Candy Flare. I mean, you can kind of count that. Maki obviously for Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, they've been just going real crazy. Like, all week. Everybody's been getting, like, these big battles all over the place. W's, and it's all lined up, which I thought was really neat. Because for Noelle, her fight's going to be going for a few chapters. Lucy's was a chunk of the last chapter and then current chapter, whereas the next chapter, it should focus more on Gray. So, all these seemingly all kind of lining up, I thought was pretty neat. I like all these characters, so I was very happy to see all these. Read Mashal. Mashal's, if only Mashal was one of the ones to be in that, I could put him in the hype train as well. In this set specific hype train, well, I saw all these females had their aligned weeks of W's essentially. But how are you doing today, Bud? Jared Punch, Guillotine, how are you guys doing? Gene, Early Gang, Gene. I heard you're already a mod in, either already a mod or set to already be a mod in Jay's stream when he starts streaming. So, what is that now? Is that 5 mod spots? You can become a professional chat moderator, Gene. Since we don't have Noelle's Ultimate Magic, I need it. My guess is Noelle's Ultimate Magic is going to be more of like an upgraded version of her Sea Dragon's Roar. Just some form of a large offensive spell. I assumed it was either going to be that or the upgraded version of her form of her Valkyrie dress, but her Valkyrie dress upgrade looks to be more for her, the stuff with Undine. It's funny, like I noticed that like everybody else calls her Undine, but I've been saying Undine this whole time. I don't know. I'll look up the correct pronunciation at some point. But yeah, so I assume that since Noelle has this form, unless she needed to master or at least get used to Spirit Dive, because maybe like between Valkyrie dress and her ultimate magic she has to have like some form in between to kind of like get used to it. Otherwise I would assume that her ultimate magic is gonna be an upgraded version of her Sea Dragons, where I think that should be kind of cool if it was a form, but it's like she has to, like I said, kind of like get used to whatever she's doing with spirit her Spirit Dive in order to get that, like a kind of like a bridge. I did see the Eden Zero leaks, man. We gotta have somebody at least get Shura off that ship. He's got to be moved. I don't think he has to get beaten already. Like, I want to see him defeated. He doesn't require it right now, but they gotta get him off that ship, man. They gotta move him. They gotta at least just put him back outside. So hopefully, whatever happened to Shiki, he'll show up in this chapter and they'll be like, yeah, I should probably go back to the ship. We'll see, though. People gotta accept Lucy won. It wasn't a BS or tie. It was a complete win. She was still conscious when Mimi was passed out. Lucy's out of magic. I assume that she can't do many attacks, but clearly, like, it doesn't matter if Mimi's still on her feet if she's outright unconscious. She can't do anything. If Lucy wasn't, a normally nice person, if this was a fight to the death, she would be perfectly capable of killing Mimi right now, given that Mimi is done. And I would imagine Mimi also being done, she probably doesn't have any Spirial right now, so her Spiritual Art she probably can't use. So she probably just has her base kind of like level of stats with her body of just being like really, strong and durable, but not to the same degree that obviously she has through her Spiritual Art and stuff, you know what I mean? I'm playing Pokemon Array, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I gotta do like the additional content in that game still. It's funny, I beat the game and there was like that extra stuff with Rayquaza, and I don't remember if I did it or not. It's kind of like I have Pokemon Shield, but I never finished it. I don't know why. I think it's just because there were a bunch of games that came out around the same time. I gotta finish it at some point. It's been on my list to finish since like the second week that game came out. It's just been sitting at the Elite Four for years now. But at the same time, I haven't given up on it. I still think about it every once in a while. I don't know how many years it's been. Has it been like a year and like a half, I think? Lucy Muramaki, Noel. Yeah, like a lot of them really have just gotten this big spotlight this week. The only ones like Mashal. I don't really know if I'd count One Piece, because there was like some stuff like that happened with Nami and that with Yamato, but I wouldn't really consider that as the same thing, considering they just had short moments. It wasn't focused on them. Like, whereas, like, I think the Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter would be like a really good bar for me to say like, oh, this is where like it would like set or focus to kind of like get into those qualifications, where it's like it wasn't fully set on Anne, but Anne pretty much had the spotlight of the chapter. Once she kind of stood up and was doing her stuff, it was clearly more for her. Oh, I wouldn't put Shura over Draken Joe. The thing is, if Draken Joe was in that spot, and if Draken Joe full power was put in that position the way that like Shura's in, they'd already be dead. He wouldn't have just left the robots to deal with Shiki. He would have taken care of himself. Like Draken Joe, his obviously big fault was the fact they destroyed his machine that regulated his age. I'm hoping at some point in the future we get to like have maybe a rematch of like actual full power Draken Joe through either, you know, time shenanigans, or maybe like he breaks out and he's able to get his machine rebuilt and then regain all his strength. And then we could have him actually showing up and like having a fight with him and Shiki again and seeing what he's fully capable of. Because like he's strong. I think Shura's strong, but I think if you took Shura and put him against Draken Joe, full power Draken Joe, I would definitely give Draken Joe the win. Because all he would have to do is get a hold of him and he could just do his alchemy thing. Like the biggest thing about Draken Joe isn't just that his ether gear is hacks. He was very smart in using it. He's very smart in utilizing it into his own advantages. Because, like, alchemy is a super flexible power. Like, especially the way that he uses it is, like, super fast. And he was clearly experienced with it. It's what set Draken Joe, at least for me, currently as, like, the current Eden Zero gold standard for, like, a big threatening bad guy within Eden Zero. Because, like, Ziggy is obviously stronger. Ziggy's probably going to have crazier things. But Draken Joe, he's one of those ones, like, we don't have to know entirely, like, his whole moveset, but we know what he can do and what he's capable of, so you can really just look into, essentially, alchemy and stuff like the periodic table and the way he is. Alchemy does, like, its magic science thing, and we'll know how he can do things. It's weird. It's kind of like August. Like, where August, we didn't have to know his entire moveset to know pretty much what he can do, but also knowing what his magic did at a base level, you know what the expanse of his capabilities are. And that's what I like about Draken Joe's powers, too. Let me see. Yeah, the female cast in Mashal isn't even on Death's Door. It never existed. They don't really have any yet. Because what they have, what's the main female in the group called again? Is it Lemon? Is that her name? Because I don't think she's done anything. They don't really have much for females yet, at least. Actually, aren't there... I actually need to go look. Aren't there some of the visionaries that are female? I remember some of the people in the group. Obviously, I remember the Harry Potter-looking dude. I remember, the dude with the dragon. He's got, like, the dragon magic. He's a little tiny dragon on his shoulder. Whatever he's going to do. But I'm pretty sure they had females in that group, but I don't think they've done anything yet. I'm going to have to go back really quick. I'm going to slowly work my way over there while making sure I don't miss too much of the comments. Oh, thank you. Let me go through it. Thank you, Jake Miller. Jack killing Dante gives him scary death flags. That's what I think. I think that with Dante getting back up, if Dante was still down and Jack wandered over there to, finish off the job, that'd be one thing. But, like, Dante's back up, and he clearly has magic again, and he recovered. We know how body magic works. He regenerates. As long as he has mana, the state of his body doesn't really matter. Whereas Jack is bloody. He's all beaten. He's clearly way more hurt. It's not looking good for Jack in reality. And I think people just give Dante the hard time because obviously he just lost. But I really don't see what Jack would do at this point, especially if Dante gets back, he's back up, rather. It's not if he gets back up. He's back up. If he has the ability just to use his devil powers again immediately, because he's got mana again, should be fine in fighting back. I don't really see what Jack could do. We'll see, though, because the chain is off. He should be regaining mana. He should have the ability to use his devil powers as well. And we know that Jack doesn't have a ton of mana, so Dante should just win that battle of attrition as well. You got no notifications. That happens, though. What's up going on, Nur? How are you doing today? Sure. Oh, I already read this one. Let's see. I'm gonna kill Sure for what he did to my Robo waifus. Yeah, man, I was... Luckily, they're androids, so, like, missing limbs and, like, cracks and damage can be fixed. But it's the emotional trauma. Seeing a hermit all side like that is not something I'm okay with. The other girls, like, they're damaged. I'm worried about them, but seeing a hermit in a sad state, it always gets to me. I've been self-conscious about saying let's see, and like when I'm scrolling and stuff, just because I remember somebody said it. It's funny because I've mentioned in my videos before, I'll get on a certain word or a phrase and I'll continuously go about that in the video. It becomes my filler word. Such as when people say like and then they're talking and there'll be like a moment, I say sometimes, so I like regular, but sometimes when I do videos, I'll have like a filler word. And for some reason, when I do streams, it's all, whenever I'm getting ready to go back in the chat and I finish something, I'll say, let's see. So I'm trying, it doesn't matter what I'm looking. I'm trying to make sure I don't just kind of like say the same thing every time. But thank you also again for the $2, Jake. I do appreciate it. I can see it once we get back to Suzaku Selene. Suzaku is going to be down while Selene stands over him. Oh yeah, 100%. The setups of the chapters have gone about where I was hoping. It was slightly off because we actually got a little bit more Selene versus Suzaku content that I thought we were going to get. But I figured it was going to be Selene versus Suzaku, then Lucy versus Lucy versus Mimi, Gray versus Hakune, and then back to Selene versus Suzaku. But we got essentially like Selene versus Suzaku, and then a little bit more Selene versus Suzaku, and then the rest of that chapter setting up the fights, and then opening it a couple pages of the Lucy versus Mimi. Then we got Lucy versus Mimi. Next chapter should be Gray versus Hakune, and I'm very excited for that one. I've mentioned in my reviews, I've been talking about it for a bit. I really wanted to see the Lucy fight. Obviously, I do really like Lucy, so I'm obviously not gonna be like down about getting chapters for her. I was very happy to see her get the win. It was very nice to see what Lucy was doing, and I was actually really happy about her Gemini Oratometria casting, because I never really thought about it, the fact that she can double her magic with it. I was thinking more of like when she used it in the Grand Magic Games, how she did it so she could do it because it doubled her magic, so she was capable of doing it. Kind of like early Naruto, like forming Rasengans, he had the clones to do it because it was difficult, so he figured out a way to kind of cheat through it. And I was thinking like, oh, well, she doesn't really need to have Gemini now, but I didn't really consider the fact like, well, why wouldn't she? Because that's a power double, just having Gemini out. But yeah, I was very happy about that, but I really want to see the Gray versus Hakune fight, because I want to know what Gray's transcendent magic is. I really want to know how Gray overcomes Diamond Effect, and like what exactly he's going to do. Like, maybe, like, in reality, I feel like all Gray would have to do, to an extent, is become way faster than her. Because we know how Slayers work. If he could adapt to her ice fast enough, he should be able to eat it and then, consume its power and stuff. Or even imitate it, after we saw his fight with Invul. But I don't think it would be very satisfying if it was just speed. And I mentioned, I think in the last stream, how the fight between the Thunder Legion and Gray, I think might have been a nod at maybe what he's going to do. Like, again, like just focusing more on devil stuff. Maybe he won't focus as much on using ice, and he'll use it maybe more for counteracting some of Hakune's stuff, but then fighting more as a Devil Slayer. But we'll see. Like, that's, again, I would say it's the one that I want to see the most, but obviously, like, the only character I would say for sure I simp for is Selene. Like, Selene is literally so many check marks that like would be my ideal character to put in the series. Like, it's really weird of her existence because she's doing so many things that would be on my wish list. I wish so bad that before we got to the reveal of Selene, like I did a video just on like my wish list for a dragon god. And Selene is like 90-something% already of like what I wanted for a female dragon, like at her position. Let me get some more of these comments, though. Yeah, it sucks you got no notifications, Nerd, but how are you doing? Like I said, I don't know what it is about that. I know that happens, like, when I'm in Josuke stream, people bring that up as well. So people bring it up sometimes in here. Just something about YouTube, man. They just... YouTube is weird how they're like the biggest video sharing, like, public system, but they don't... But it's kind of, like, ass sometimes. You'd think that they would make it more crisp and pristine, but I think it's just because they don't have any competition. It's like they don't really care to fix it, because really, where else are you going to go? It's really unfortunate. It's one of the reasons why I think competition is good, but every single time, like, one of these big major platforms gets competition, there's, like, some behind-the-scenes thing to get rid of them. What was it? Like, Parler got sniped because of Twitter, and we all know that there was, there had to be something behind the scenes of them being sly. BitChute and other places for YouTube. It sucks that they do that, because it just is eliminating not just the idea of having other options, but competition to make something like YouTube be better. But who knows? How are you doing today, Gene? I'm doing all right. I gotta figure out what I want to eat for dinner. I've mostly just had snacks. Like I didn't really know what I wanted to eat today, so like I just had a couple pieces of jerky, and then I made some chips, and then I was like. I had some, I just heated up some nacho cheese, and then I put like jalapeno brine in there, and I wasn't, like, I finished my chips because I only had like a handful of chips left, and then I went and heated up a soft pretzel and then ate that. So it's like, so far today I've been living off snack food. You heard about the Injustice movie announcement? Are they really making an Injustice movie? Is it animated or is it live action? Because those can go, I mean, if it's animated, it has a very high chance of being good. If it's live action, it's going to depend if it's the unfortunate DC Universe movies or if it's the Zack Snyder ones. Because I know Zack Snyder was looking to set that up, and that was really cool what he was doing. And I really liked his version of Justice League. Speaking of Draken Joe, in a few weeks we'll be seeing him in the anime. I'm excited. He should have a couple moments, yeah, because we're going to be getting through Gilst. My guess, though, is he's going to be the big bad for Season 2. I really do think that by the way that it's been set up with the number of the season and whatnot, we're going to be getting through the Sun Jewel. Just because it makes sense, to me at least, the fight with Kurenai being the end battle of the season and then setting up Draken Joe for Season 2. I would assume at least. Because then we could also get him in his scenes during that arc, which would be really cool. Rax, thoughts on the AniTuber complaining about Black Clover on Twitter today? Who was doing it? Is there somebody called the AniTuber? I didn't see anything about that. If you want to at me, or I'll check after the stream. Maybe even check during the stream. I don't know. Let me make sure that I'm not missing any. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Sad Rax, who probably won't see Gaja Ultimate Magic against Vonica or Laurel Pechka, so I can't push my agenda. I mean, it's just maybe not yet. There's no way that he's not going to show Gaja's Ultimate Magic. It might not just be immediately. We might have to wait a little bit, or he's going to use it on Vonica once they free Lola Pechka, or like get her to a point where they can't deal with her, or like get her out of the way. Maybe he'll use it to fight Lolo, but it'll be like he'll just be using it to like the most delicate and honed degree. Think of like the difference between a guy with a knife versus like a skilled surgeon, and he like maybe tries to use the lightning in like specific ways just to pretty much take her down but not kill her. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff obviously there that is there's a lot of delicate pieces in that whole scenario of the idea of like Lolo versus Gaja in a serious fight. So we'll see how that goes. But I'd be really appalled if we didn't see his ultimate magic soon. Maybe Tabata's saving it for like a later gate, like whenever the second gate opens. Draken Joe wouldn't kill the Shining Stars unless he had to. Yeah, I know. But in the idea of like if he just went there to, essentially wreak havoc, then it would have been done already. If he went there with the same mindset as Shura to go and destroy everybody in the 8 and 0 to get to Shiki, they'd be dead already. He would have either turned them into stone, blown them up. He wouldn't be, there wouldn't have been nearly as much of pushback, I think, that that they would have. And granted, it doesn't look like they had much of a chance, but like even in the idea of getting in their like they weren't in their battle dresses when they were fighting Shura, but like even if they were against Drac and Joe, I don't think it would have mattered. Rax need people to blame Yuno and Fuego Leon too, not just Undine. They both canceled to go to the Heart Kingdom because they were too prideful. The thing is, I don't know about Salamander because the Salamander doesn't talk, but Bell should know about Sanctuary. It'd be really weird, or whatever the Viz translation is going to be. It'd be really weird if Bell didn't know. If there was enough of a reason, I would say sure, but Bell didn't say anything to Yuno, or at least we didn't see it on screen. Maybe that's what Yuno learned during the days that he was charging up, and why, you know, the difference between Boreas. We don't really know. We haven't actually seen much focus on Yuno since he went into that fight. We only get little clips of him and little snippets of what he's up to. Let me scroll down. I'm gonna try so hard today to keep up with the chat. The week has been pretty good. Sanji got sauce. Moore got sauce. Deku and Lucy have been getting mad sauce. Sanji getting to do stuff is the bigger surprise for me in that One Piece chapter, because legitimately Oda has not been too kind to him all time skip, but he's looking like he's getting, you know, a good fight with Queen. I don't know why it's not King, and it makes me wonder, like, is he gonna have King end up fighting like Marco 101 then? I don't really know. Have I watched the Godzilla Singularity Point? Not yet, but I plan to. I really like the weird new design. And I know that I don't know if it's in that movie, but from what I read, because I was watching some info on it, is like Toho is planning going to put out some like new information on Godzilla that's gonna like give a lot of like important lore. And I'm guessing it's gonna have to do with Singularity Point, or Singular Point, because of the different design, and probably have to do with Shin Godzilla. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Kill West. I thought you were already subscribed. Either way, thank you. But like how Shin Godzilla evolved, I think they're gonna be going something like that. Like they're gonna give some information about like Godzilla's origins and maybe like Godzilla's species and stuff. I don't really know. I don't know in depth like the long, crazy lore of Godzilla. Like I haven't read the comics. I've seen some of the movies, but I haven't seen all the movies. I know there's like was it the Legendary Godzilla franchise? I haven't watched those. I want to at some point though. I want to just like take a point and just watch all those old Godzilla films that are all connected. See like Destroya and Biollante in action. Rex started Fairy Tail. I'm on Greyback's story. I don't see what people hating on the series. It's the same reason they do with Black Clover. It's popular to slander. Think about it. It's the same problems. I've heard that people say that so many times, and it's the same thing I've seen with Black Clover. Is like you get people slandering it, and then you try and question them on it. It's usually the same, like goofy takes that don't make a lot of sense, or stuff that's easily debunked. And then you'll see people make those same statements of like, wow, I actually really like this. I'm really enjoying this. Like the characters are fun, the plots, the stories, and then you'll eventually run into like parts where the people will like complain about something, but it's like something that'll be like in a regular show. And I won't go into spoilers, but there's a point where there's after a time skip and a character pulls out like a new ability, like essentially new ability. I won't give the spoilers, but it's like, and then people were upset about it. It's like, well, where'd this new power come from? It's like they just did a whole training thing, and all these characters before this one were like, hey, let me show off the fruits of my training and power-ups and stuff. There's new abilities on display, and then it's like, you really didn't expect this character to not have something new and shiny? You're ridiculous. Because it's like, not just as like it was like happening in Fairy Tail, that's a regular thing outside of when they get past time skip and training periods. Like characters are gonna have new things. That's always it's a trope, but it's one of those ones that everybody likes. It's like the tournament or the really powerful old guy or something like that. Those are the tropes everybody enjoys. Someone's comment. Need Rebecca Overdrive soon. Rebecca's Overdrive has to be last. It'll be too broken. Like unless Mishima really does a way to balance the hell out of it, we don't need it right now. Maybe he can make her like kind of like Julius or Ultir, sure, but I just don't, because she has actual time travel in her abilities. She can go back short spans of time, whereas like Ultir and Julius manipulate time, but they don't have full just like, yeah, I can pull back a couple seconds pretty much. I can travel myself back in time. So it's a dangerous ability to have in a series because it can cause problems. I trust Mishima just because he's got a lot of experience with time shenanigans. Like I've mentioned that before as well. Those are the people that I'm always comfortable with knowing there's time stuff in series. The people that have experience because you know that they set things up. Well, it's one thing I was super worried when was it Toki in One Piece had the time fruit. Because I was like, man, Oda can screw this up so bad. He can make so many problems, but he did it in a way that it wasn't that problematic. It's like only can go forward. It's a one-way ticket. There's nothing that crazy about the expanse of the fruit other seemingly than just opening a way to go straight forward in time. So you don't have nearly as many issues of potential time like kerfuffles where like time travel just breaks parts of the story, which is good. That is an example of when you can do time travel in a series and it doesn't cause a lot of problems. Oh, but yeah, I'm hoping you're enjoying that backstory, Nur. After that arc is a really good arc because you're in Galuna Island right now. After next is a hype arc. Are you reading the manga or are you watching the anime? Because I was gonna say something, but it's gonna really depend, obviously, because the anime does really well at the next arc, some of those fights especially. Lemon is part of the main cast, and there's 2 females in the Divine Visionaries, Knowledge Cane and Ice Cane. Ooh, Ice Cane is gonna be good. I've been on a kick of like wanting ice users because I think it's just because Black Clover has this weird. Black Clover is a really weird kind of track record of like the ice users like getting mauled and like not being treated too well. It's really weird because it's like Fairy Tail has a lot of ice users and like not like a lot, but usually like even the ones that he doesn't let do like a ton of stuff end up having like some pretty good roles and some pretty good showings. Whereas like Black Clover doesn't. It's really odd. I wonder if Tabata just doesn't like ice users. And then the other new ice user that I've been enjoying is Irie from Candy Flurry. I've been enjoying her so far. Is it? Do you know what chapter we get all the Divine Visionaries? Because I think it's 39. I was just scrolling through some chapters and I keep like getting to parts that I want to look at. Let's look at when Mash got his wand. What room do you think Asta and the group will go to? Hopefully it's Xenon room, so fans will get mad. No, they have to go to Morris. If they don't go to Morris, I'm going to be mad. Because Noct knows that Morris is the biggest problem right now. They have to go down there. If they don't, I'm gonna be really upset with Noct because he is fully aware. They have to say we need to go down this place, go find this guy, and deal with him. Because if they can take Morris out, I think that they have like a good shot at stopping all this. But if they don't, and I don't think they will anytime soon, just because even if they go down there, I don't think Tabata will make it easy for them. But it's something they should be prioritizing on. I'm going to start swinging on Sure myself. How dare you make Hermit cry? I agree, man. Hermit sad. Hermit sad just, it hits. It's like when we see Urza really sad. It's I think it just ties to that backstory. We know what the character's gone through. Like seeing the other members of Shining Stars cry and like be really sad makes me sad, but Hermit's hits extra hard. It's like everybody in the main cast of Fairy Tail, like when they get sad and stuff gets real upsetting, it can hit. Urza is probably the most hitting for me because just how well hers is and the way that she's always kind of existed. She has this, powerful, kind of like stoic knight setup, but then times where you see that she, is a normal person and you see her very emotionally like damaged. It just gives you that kind of reality check of where she's at. Second one would probably be Natsu, obviously my main character. But those are the two for me. Hermit and Urza. When I see them down in the dumps in tears, like those ones hurt me. No, it's not until the midpoint of Fairy Tail people start hating. No, people just like to slander for fun. I mean, you try and argue with them, and a lot of their points are easy debunked. They'll make a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. They'll say stuff that, like, if you just paid attention, you'd understand. It's just silly. Shiki gonna be when Itadori. Wait, Shiki's gonna be like Itadori was when Minato killed Junpei or Mahito. I hope so. I hope he just goes crazy. People say Lil Billy looks like Wendy. People only say that because she has blue hair. That's it. No, you can't just be giving everyone overdrive now. Well, no, you can't give Rebecca overdrive right now because it'd be too much. Out of the main people, the other person who should have it for sure is Jin. Jin already had the pseudo overdrive like Shiki did before he got it. Jin has to have it now. If Jin doesn't have it, it's just gonna be like, what did he do the whole time? And it'll be really upsetting if Jin doesn't have it, because Homora's also had hers for a long time, whereas like Wise until recently was just, like he said, doing it off feel. So we know that he was skilled with it, but he wasn't nearly as like in the area that he should be. Rebecca is brand new. Sylph, I don't think Sylph nearly as much of a fighter as, you know, as people like Homura and Jin. So we'll see. Oh, Gray will show off a good strategy. Yeah, Gray's like an on-the-fly strategist, but he's way more kind of like set up than obviously like Natsu's style of strategy. Gray remember getting a power up next chapter. I mean, they all technically have a power up because of being an Ellen tier. It's gonna just depend on what Gray's upgraded magic with his transcended magic is. It'd be cool to see Rebecca use time rewind and then go back to fight the Racion, and fight the 6 Racion for some reason. Ooh, that'd be too much. That'd be weird. That would cause so many problems if she's like way later in the series just decided to time travel and fight people. But I think it's, at the same time, that would cause like some time paradoxes and some anomalies, right? Actually, Eden's anime has actually been doing really well in Japan. It's gaining a huge audience. That's good. I've been happy. They've been really making sure that the animation is picked up at all points where it should be. I've been a strong believer in, like, when it comes to the animes and stuff, I don't need every single episode to be crazy, beautiful, like shattering everything every time. But when they get to parts that are important is when I want the points of, like, you know, having really nice animation, having really good and cool and fluid scenes that, you know, that do the scene justice. It's like when Shiki used Gravity Comet in the anime. That was one of the ones, like, I was very happy about that. Or when he used was Gravity Cannon against Sibber. It was really cool. That was the one I think that really surprised me more, just because it looked better than I would have expected when Shiki went through it. Fact checks marks for a perfect character. Dummy thick. I mean, that's one of them. Rack not catching up with the chat. I'm getting there. I go on ramps. Eden Zero Anime is top 10 of the year for sure. That's good. I'm calling it now. Gray's going to freeze her somehow. If Gray can get more broken, if he can get the true ice that Infil had, then I think he's fine. Because that's an ice that says, I don't care if you're an ice user, I'm going to freeze you. And Hakune's an ice user. Gray imitated it and integrated his own moveset. If he can pull that out again. Bro, half of the rankings are shocking. One Piece as low as Kingdom being where it's at, it's not really that crazy to me. One Piece being that low is shocking to me. I'm waiting to binge the Eden Zero anime. I think it's going at 24 or 26 episodes, and it's at like 9 now, I think. So just a couple more weeks, and you should be, well, a couple more months, and you should be good. I'm also eating jerk chicken. That's good. I've been wanting to make some chicken stuff, but I wasn't too sure what I wanted. What's your thoughts on Arthur versus Dragon Fire Force? Dude, it's been hype. I've been really happy about this. Like, this was a fight that I didn't put a whole lot of thought of, like, the extents that it was going to go to, but I'm very happy of where it's at. It's funny because I like Shinra, but Shinra's fights, I don't think Shinra's had any fights that have put me to this much hype. Like, the closest, obviously, is this fight with Burns, but it wasn't on nearly as much of a grand scale, like, very clearly. I'm sure nobody thinks it was on the level of stuff that's going right now. You're depressed, Power? What's wrong? You good, man? I'm hoping I can make you undepressed by the end of the stream. I'm hoping that the Racks and Relax title will help you move beyond depression and at least get you into a calm and tranquil mindset. Oh, crap. I clicked out of my window. There we go. The Injustice movie is animated. This was announced. I'm going to have to go look it up. I'm pretty happy about that. I really like the Injustice storyline. Rex, I'm sad. Now you got clapped. I'm a little bit upset about that, too. Because he's probably... given all the other Zedian people, this probably means now he's dead. And... I mean, he was a bad dude, but I mean, he's a villain. He's a bad guy, so you have to kind of obviously take those things into account. But I thought he was interesting, and I like that weird power that him and Naobito had. And I'm guessing if he's out of the way, then we're not seeing it anymore. One Piece being dethroned is a good thing. I mean, yeah, it's good for the fact that it's showing that other series can do well, and they don't need to just ride onto One Piece. But it's just shocking to see One Piece as low as it was. It's weird though, because this is the arc that Oda has been super hyped for. I don't know the extent of like everything behind the scenes of, you know, the lore of Oda and all these things, but I know that Oda has been really excited to do Wano for a while. And maybe it's just because of like the way that he's been doing it, but like the anime I think has been doing really well instead, because it looks like I don't know, it feels like he's leaving out stuff because he knows that they'll boost it up and then improve it in the anime, which is fine. I mean, he's an older dude, and he's been doing this for freaking 20-plus years. I know he smokes a bunch, so I don't really mind it as much. As long as the One Piece fandom is happy, I'm sure it'll be okay. I don't think the One Piece fandom is going to collapse knowing that they didn't make no #1 sales. As long as Oda's good and they're getting what they want, I'm sure they'll be okay. This is a bad thing is many of the manga are about to end. That is one thing that is like a little bit wearying, but... I'm hoping that, you know, I'm hoping Shonen Jump can realize that and start getting more long-running people. That was one of the things I really liked about the potential for Build King, is it had a guy who had a track record already of having a 300, nearly 400 chapter series that he could have done, who was already building a big world, and instead they're keeping all these like sports and gag series that are, you know, are very limited on their lifespan. Actually, just as a real quick thing, Witch Watch Volume 1 sold apparently really well. I saw it got number 15. Like, I don't know if it was... I think it was, like, the span of, like, a week or two. Or it might have been a month. I don't know. But, like, it did way better than I would have expected. Like, even if it was a week, it outsold Sakamoto Days. And I was really surprised on that. Like, I don't read Sakamoto Days. Sometimes I'll poke in and look at a chapter. But from what I understood, it got really well reception in Japan, and it was selling well. So Witch Watch outselling it was really surprising. So I'm happy with that, because like I've been reading that series like in like a couple chapter chunks. Like I'll leave it alone for a few chapters, come back, read a few. I like the main character; she's pretty cool and it's funny. But I'm surprised that it apparently is doing as well as it is. New Dawn Horizon, interesting since their best series in the top 10. I don't know that one. Xenon predicting when the Triad is introduced will be the final foe. He's maybe that out of the three, but that's going to obviously depend on the next few chapters for the Vonica fight and if Dante comes back, because we don't know exactly what Tabata's scope is going to be. We just know, obviously, like at least right now, Xenon is last out of the three, which is funny, like. Because I thought it was going to be Vonica. Or initially, I figured it'd be Dante, but Dante getting taken out, I figured it was going to be Vonica after him, just because I figured that with her ties to Lolo, ties to Gaja, ties to Yuno, pull back on there, ties to... Crap, I somehow got Yuno in there. Noelle, Nozel, Lolo, Gaja, all these guys... then you know it would make sense to have her last, but it looks like it's going to be Xenon. I did put a video out on Xenon like a couple hours ago of maybe why he's going to be more important, but it's obviously going to depend until we get the reveal. Lost Combat is either going to be something incredibly funny or extremely useful. Well, dang it, I was about to say that could be what they're going to do soon, but isn't he with Rebecca and the crew? I don't think he's on the Eden Zero right now, is he? I'm going to have to pull up the chapter real quick. I don't think he's there. Because he's dressed up as Shiki. I'm pretty sure he's with all the majority of the main cast. Shiki's not there, but he's with Wise and Homura, Rebecca. Because I was gonna be like, this could be the time. Maybe that's why Mishima decided to send him out there. It's like, otherwise this button is gonna have to get pressed to stop Shura. That would have been really cool. Because I figured it's gotta be some like a battle form. There has to be something. Yeah, he's definitely. I kind of went and looked. He is with the Homura and everybody. I think it's like a battle mode or something, or like some form of automated fighting like setup. It's gonna be so weird when we get to it, because out of his gag characters, like the Jigglebutt gang were all just goofs. Ichiya is mostly a goof, but we know that he actually was a capable wizard and he actually could fight. It was just so difficult to get him to fight seriously. Moscow, like, it's just gonna really depend on what exactly that button does. You know, he should have Sanctuary. I would assume so, or at least it's either he has it and he's using it, or he's doing it without realizing it. Like he's using this power without actually really knowing the name of it or how to properly utilize it. When do you think Shura looks down on machines when he liked Ziggy as a kid? I personally believe that Shura is the way he is because of how he grew up with Nero. Because Nero very clearly doesn't look at the people within his kingdom as people. They're units. They are components within his empire. And I think because of that, Shura probably has this royalty complex where he thinks that everybody is below him and barely an object just for him to do whatever he wants with. I doubt Sylph had that knowledge of Sanctuary. I don't know, man. She says she should be as old as Undine. It'd be really weird if just one person knew about it. If there was an explanation that only Undine knew about it for whatever reason, and she never told the other spirits, when it's like, hey, other great spirits, I figured out a way using our power to kill devils, it'd be really weird. There would have to be such a good reason why the spirits don't talk to each other. There would have to be some form of logical reason why they would never come in contact with each other. But I don't really know if that would be the case. I don't really know. Or is this going to be more Chadley Dante? We'll see how that goes. I do have my hypes for Morris. One's Kingdom are still selling most copies per individual volume. It's just other manga have listed of 2 release volumes, whereas they have released 1. I mean, if they with a bunch of those, like even if One Piece had another volume doubling what they're at, that wouldn't even be in the top 5. Like I think like that number 5 was at like 6 to 7 million, and One Piece only had like 2 point something at number 10. Our Nancy got dislike bomb for slandering Moscow. Did he really? In a video? I'll have to go look at that. I didn't know that, man. Why would you hate on Moscow? Like he's a gag character. There's nothing really to hate about him. He's funny. In terms of openings, Black Clover definitely has over Fairy Tail. I don't agree with that one. Black Clover has some really good openings, but there's some I really am not too fond of. Like number 4, I'm not like, I'm like, eh. I have to go back and listen to some, but I remember 4, like the Guess Who's Back one, I'm not a huge fan on. I think 11 I'm not really keen on as well. 11 and 12 I'm kind of like, 13 and 10 I really like. And then I think 8 is another one that I really like. But like Fairy Tail's a lot of bangers, especially the ones that grow on you. Opening 8 for Fairy Tail is definitely one of the most grown on. That one and Down by Law, opening 24, are 2 that I was kind of on at first, but every time I listened to them, I started to really like them more. I was actually like that with opening 10 for Black Clover for Black Catcher. I didn't really like it that much at first, and after listening to it a couple times, Black Rover or any Fairy Tail, but absolutely not. Opening 3 for Fairy Tail is still better. Opening 3 is great. That was one of my like. That's the same thing with like how Black Clover was. The first 2 Black Clover openings were good, but 3 was where it was like, damn, this is a fire opening. That was the same thing with Fairy Tail. The first 2 are good, like especially Snow Fairy. I mean that's the one, a good one. Obviously, it has like absurd nostalgia hit power. But 3 is like the first like big fire opening, I would say, for Fairy Tail. Goddess Work and Cut Through Time. I don't know about that, man. Villain Redemption. We'll see about that one. We'll see, though. Aside from maybe Believe Myself. That's a great one, too. 16 as well. Strike Back? Dude, Strike Back is one of the best. Masumi Chasing. Dude, there's so many good ones. Like, Fairy Tail has absurdly high quality, like, level of openings. Black Clover can get there. They're consistent. And, like, same thing with, like, someone like Bleach, where they have a lot of openings. For whatever reason, they have way more openings on a lot of other series. But they're good. There's somebody just in those studios while they're getting ready to set up for animation said, we need X amount of openings and make sure we get all the solid ones. We don't need any A ones. Manga racks probably watch the anime for fights. I would say there's merits to both. You can either read the manga first and get all the art, and then read the anime, watch the anime, and you get additional content put in the anime. which is good because it enhances the story. Or you watch the anime, and then you get to the manga, and then you get to see like stuff uncensored. You get Mishima's crisp art. You're not gonna get like filler episodes and stuff. There's benefits to both, and that's one of the things I like about about Fairy Tail's anime and manga setup. If the Fairy Tail anime just had more consistent animation, I think it'd be so much more highly rated, because there are parts where like the anime can get like too, like there's chunks like the Daphne arc is ugh, and then Alvarez in the anime has some scenes and parts that I'm not a fan of, especially like the fact they made Natsu's dragon scales, like they look almost brown in some parts, and then he's got the golden flames, and I'm just like, why? They're not supposed to be like that. Bothers me. Hermit doesn't deserve this. I agree. She should be handled with care. Dante had a small arc dedicated to him getting better and more powerful, more evil, like pure evil Lex Luthor. I would very much like to get more Dante. I agree. Oh, you like the training arc that was skipped over? What training arc? Wait, what? Are you talking about for Eden Zero? More Overdrive versus Elf Arc Valkyrie dress. Speed. Noelle speed equal. I would like to know. I'll wait till the next chapter because I really want to know if Homura has any more abilities with it, or is it just like a power boost? Because I'm wondering if she has anything additional. Because the only thing so far is she's done Odin Strike, and I'm guessing there's going to be something else. I guess Noelle didn't really get anything that crazy outside of movement, but that's one thing she does have, is she can pretty much swim through the mana in the air. So I will say to wait a little bit. I personally think it would be Homura though, just because Homura has way more swordsmanship training, whereas Noelle is strong, but she's not nearly as disciplined and experienced as Homura is at that point in time. Bottom loves fire users, will even no-name characters get fire magic. Yeah, he uses the elements as like a lot of the kind of fill-in elements, and then you'll get to like ones that are actually more valuable, and he'll give them like better versions. Fighting Visionaries in chapter 41, but there's a light cane shown in chapter 40, and the sword cane in chapter 31. I'll have to go look at those. I definitely want to go back and look at some of them, because that's true though. It's like, it's weird that like Mashle doesn't have many female characters, and it's like it's been like what, like 60-something chapters. I didn't really think about that too much until the stream. We'll get some eventually. Being a hermit is suffering? No, hermit's cool. Or do you mean just like, unfortunately she just suffers so much? Judar beats Alibaba. I'll finish Magi at some point. I'm like the last arc. I've been sitting on the last arc forever. There's no way Gray gets clapped, Nevs. There's no way. I wouldn't understand it if Mishima had Gray lose again. I wouldn't understand it at all. Who's more badass? Kenpachi, Laxus, or Yami? Probably, I would say in terms of like just straight badassery, Kenpachi. But in terms of dialogue, I would say Laxus. Laxus has a lot of really cool lines. Yami, I think Yami has the best poker face badass moments out of him. He's got more. I can't say he's got more wholesome badass stuff, because Laxus has a lot of them as well. But in terms of outright like meathead cool badass moments, Kenny, and then ones with more character driven context, I'd go Laxus. Thoughts on Spy X Family? I don't really read it. I've only read the first few chapters. I've enjoyed the Eden Zero anime so far. Racks of what I've watched. Oh, what's up, Telehim? How are you doing today? Guess for Wise Overdrive, you'll have a workshop. I'm guessing Wise Overdrive will be like almost like a nano suit kind of thing, and maybe he can just pull technology to him in order to manipulate. Maybe actually that would probably be the best way to do it. Imagine he's got his Arsenal suit, but he's like fast assimilating machines around him into weapons instead of just manipulating the suit. Like he touches a car, bam, the car becomes a freaking hydraulic railgun cannon or something attachment. Shiki versus current Deku. Shiki would beat the shit out of Deku. That is not a fight. 7 years after... Wait, what is this? Is post Tenru Ion in the canon of S-Class because he fought Natsu... Oh, you talking about Max? Yeah, probably. I would give Max, like, S-Class right now, to be perfectly honest. If he was training with Agil, there's no way that he isn't past that bar to be S-Class. Like, just because he was somewhat, like, he was able to contend with Natsu at, like, the start of the time skip, I would say that was kind of, like, that's already, like, a bit of a nod. But the fact he went and trained with Agil, I really would like to see Max's level by himself without getting buffed, just to see what he's capable of. But he's clearly stronger. And I would assume that he's got more than just Rommel Sai from Agil. He's probably got some other techniques. Maybe he can use something like Sand World to a lower degree. Maybe just make, like, I don't know, like 100-foot wide version. But at the same time, you've essentially got 100. You would have a 100-foot wide sand dome where you are intangible within it and can appear in any location on it, and would be able to, to utilize it as a weapon. I wonder if he can actually water drain people. I'd be very curious actually about that. If he could just do water drains, man, Juvia would be sweating. Oh shit. I really like Fire Force anime. Really need to catch up with the manga. It's been doing good. You calm now? Well, I'm glad. Progress has been made. I'm glad you're going. You're rising up. Now he was cute. I mean, he was cool. I liked him so far. It doesn't look like things are looking good for him. I like how Draken Joe and Sure both mirror Shiki with his views on friendship. But yeah, they're all just like these adjacent kind of outlooks on it. Draken Joe, though, I think Draken Joe will has more potential to become an ally than Shura. Zenin Clan's most disappointing thing in 2021. I mean, yeah, most of them, pretty much like 99% of them died in one chapter. It is really true about that. It's kind of funny. Injustice, Ares against Urzen Grey. Didn't he fight with Superman? I'd have to go back and read the comics, but I'm pretty sure he should be fine beating them if he's messing with Superman and Flash level people. Oh, he said if Dahlia killed, hyped up Zenin Clan. Yeah, man, they got rid of all their really good people. Like, if Toji was around, they'd be in such a better, more powerful state, but instead, they decided to be a bunch of idiots. Man, I don't like the amount of people who didn't like the way Lucy beat Mimi the second time. What I've been telling people shouldn't have the spirit enchant. Wendy gave everyone a few chapters put back. The thing is, like, she fought smarter in this match, too. And once she got down to, like, near the end, and she was using Aranometria instead of just, trying to charge her head on, because Mimi's style, I was talking to Iron Nancy about it, is Mimi's style, essentially, she is very physically strong, she's got just these heavy attacks, but about it is, she is going to advance at you. Mimi is going to, once she picks a target, she's going to go at them, and her whole thing, being Mimi the immovable, it's very difficult to get her advance to stop. So Lucy set up in a way so she was advancing towards Aquarius, going towards Aquarius instead, and then setting up a Ranometria, where instead of trying to hit her with just some like brute attack, she hit her with an extremely powerful spell. And on top of that, summoned Gemini to double the power that she had. So every where she's at right now, already, double that, hit her with it, and with a top class magic, and bam, there you have a down Mimi. She fought way smarter about it. Maybe because of the fan expectations, the Yonko, maybe the Big Mom isn't going what they want. I mean, Big Mom has been down bad since, like, her debut. Whereas, like, Kaido, we know Kaido was kind of wanting to get that fight, though, instead, whereas Big Mom was just down. I think, though, the Japanese, it's weird, the Japanese usually just for some reason aren't as, like, heavy towards Japanese stuff most of the time. They seem to really like, stuff from overseas, just like how similar a lot of people in the West like stuff from, like, different areas. It's kind of like how One Piece is way bigger in Japan than it is in America, whereas in America, Naruto is bigger than One Piece, something like that, or just like, the ninja aspect, people were way more for that rather than pirates. You're saying it's probably not selling as much because... no, I think that it just hasn't been as hyped for the Japanese fan base, because you have to keep in mind a lot of the sales are from Japan when it comes to like the large scale. Like the only one I can think of that sells a lot outside of Japan is like My Hero sells a lot in the US and stuff. Which villain is more hateable the moment? Patri temporarily killing Julius or Kaza killing Rengoku? Probably Patri. I mean, I don't really think... I never saw anybody really get too, like, riled up over what was going on with Rengoku. Fierce Reveal was disappointing now. I don't have a problem with that. No one cared about Julius. Dude didn't even die. And people did care about Julius. What do you mean? I didn't even care about Rengoku. Are you serious? When Rengoku died, I was like, oh, that sucks. I got real sad when Julius was down. Was sure it turned out the way he say that Nero was worse parent than Jedma? Probably. Eden Zero selling 29 after 2 weeks despite having an anime is depressing. I mean, the anime is still revving up. They're only a couple episodes in. It's not like week 1 and everything goes crazy. We'll be fine. Is Max the Sand Guy more powerful than Kana? He's not more powerful than Kana. I don't believe that. Kana needs to get utilized more, but I do not believe that Max could beat Kana. Because Kana could just nuke the whole zone. How would Urza fare against Kenpachi? I think she'd be fine. The thing that it would make me really curious about that match would be Urza's Nakagami armor. Because I'd be very curious if she could bypass his durability and stuff with the way that obviously energy equalization works. So would she be able just to say nope to like all his Ryatsu and be able just to cut him? I'd be very curious rather about that, because that'd be one of those things. It would be like Dante in that case, where we know Kenpachi doesn't really care about getting hit. He's fine with taking damage, which a good example in Bleach is when he tried to fight Pernida. A Hack's character just said, "Okay, cool," and then got rid of him. That's one of those things, and what it was I was worried about Dante, and again proved that point. When you have characters that are fine face-checking stuff all the time, all they have to do is run into somebody with hacks that can deal with them, and they're putting in the dirt. That's just what happens. Try to keep up with the chat. I'm trying, man. I'm trying so hard. It's not just like the speed of chat. It's the fact that I get distracted and I'll go on like a 5-minute tangent, and then by the time I get caught up, like I've lost all of the progress I've made. He'd have fun fighting Urza and then Bankai GG. If he goes Bankai, he would probably screw himself, because he can only stand Bankai for a handful of moves, and then his body breaks apart. And he doesn't have any way to heal or do anything, whereas Urza would just have to either do her best to defend or dodge. Kenpachi and Shikai is one thing. He's got like a hack sword that can cut through stuff. But with Bankai, also on top of that, with Bankai, he doesn't think, he just acts, which is dangerous. Like, he's powerful, but it's more of just like a really buffed version of where he was at already. But again, if you have somebody with the hacks that can get him, then he screws himself. And that's one of the, it's a legit weakness to somebody like that, and I think it's a fair weakness. He addressed it in his latest chapter of Eden Zero. What did he say exactly about Moscow? Grounder is my favorite Black Clover. I really liked that one too. I enjoyed it, but I liked it more over time, and I think it's just some of the scenes are really good in the anime. Like at the very end when we see Libe, I think that's one of my favorite parts about it. We just get that close-up of Libe's face, and then the part with Lysita and stuff. I think readers like myself who are constantly updated on One Piece fell off buying volumes when Shanks could be in a fight. One is cool, but red hair versus straw hats so soon. Just rush Wano. You think so? Think they're gonna do that soon? Wouldn't that be like way later? I always assume the fight with the red hair pirates will be after the big war. Like when they get to Raftel, the only other ship that will get there would be Shanks' crew. That's been my assumption with One Piece, like Endgame, for years. I was learning things about Bankai would be interesting. I mean, she would have to get one of the, what is it called? The Atsushi or whatever, the kind of essentially blank Zanpakuto. I mean, if she got one and then trained, she would be able to achieve them. If Kermit the Frog had a crazy manga series, what? Kermit the Frog? Could Team Natsu defeat Ten Tails, Godfrey, absorb Madara? Oh yeah, they'll be fine. They'd be perfectly fine. Look at the people they fought. And then you have the hacks to take them down on top of that. So far, how Zeno trained the Eden Zero... Oh, Zeno trained the Eden Zero crew. Good of a teacher do you think he is compared to a Tooth anime... Wait, what? To Tooth anime mentors. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, he seems good so far. I mean, he got Homura to overdrive. No, oh, that's Guillotine. Guillotine, for some reason, thinks that Natsu was, like, town level or something absurdly silly.
Not gonna read that one. Opinions on Dobby's backstory? I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was crazy. I know that Dobby is a fan favorite. I like him, but at the same time, I'm always just like, man, and this is all because Endeavor was just a really sore loser. Alvarez arc or Fate Karakura arc. Anime-wise, overall, I'd probably... manga, I'd go Alvarez. Anime and overall, I might go Fate Karakura of Town, but when it comes to very specific parts, I would go Alvarez. It's just because Alvarez has some parts that I was not as happy about in the final, in the anime. This like Natsu versus Gray, I wish was juiced up so more, like stuff like that, like scenes like that, they weren't as hyped, but like the final battle, Ichigo versus Aizen, I was just like, like it was cool, but it like outside of like this cool battle hype, I was never really too invested in that one. Whereas like Natsu versus Zeref in the anime, it adds so much emotion in it that I really love. It focused way more on the characters rather than giant explosions. What's up, Phil Jones? How you doing today? Do you pity overall in the current state he's in? No. He's down bad because he's simping for his boss. How do you simp for your boss? Rax, do you think Noelle gives Unin back to her body will remember what it feels like and combine it with her ultimate magic? There might be a way for her to learn it. It's gonna really depend on these next couple chapters, because like if Lolo dies, then I would assume then she gets to keep Undine, or if there's a way for her to do it. The thing that I really want Tabata to get to is, we know the 4 great spirits. There's been other spirits existent, but we don't know if he's fully retconned. Like, obviously, the old MacGuffin Bruce, the spirit that's in Noelle's wand. Who knows if he's ever going to do anything with that again? Probably not. But is he going to do anything with, like, spirits outside of the great spirits? Like, could Noelle just get a lesser water spirit? Or is there a way for Noelle just to access spirit magic without needing a spirit? Something like that. Or maybe just, like, with the sanctuary or whatever the power is in general. Like, is there a way to learn it without directly having a spirit? I don't know. The Injustice story started with Superman killing Joker. I remember. What do you mean? I remember that. I've read the comics and I've played the games. The Yonko sucks because of the legacies built up by Whitebeard. That's one of the things that, like, I wish people really kind of got that, or if Oda waited a little bit and maybe had one of the Yonko go before Whitebeard. Because the thing about Whitebeard is Whitebeard was the top. So none of the other ones are really going to just be putting up same numbers like him. It's like, it would be like if we saw, I'm trying to think of like another, like a kind of like a comparative example. It would be like if we saw Acnologia, and then he ended up not being, obviously, like, Dragon King and stuff. He just was a dragon. But then we got to other dragons, and then they were all not even remotely close to his level. So it'd be like, why is this one absurd, but these other ones are, like, subpar? Kind of like how, not the same thing, but it's easy to compare them. Kind of like when we look at, like, the level of tone Zagrid had versus the Twin Devils. Lilith and Nama, like, had none. Oh, I said a stupid, get out of here, Adobe application notification. Go away, too loud. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but it was loud to me. But Lilith and Nama had nowhere near the presence of Zagrid. And granted, they should be higher ranked than him, but they did not even have close to the level of just kind of sheer presence that he gave off. Do you think Igno was as strong as the Dragon Gods? No. He was a Dragon King, but he was not a Dragon God. While the current Yonko gets slapped around. I mean, Kaido is borderline letting it happen, whereas Big Mom is just a clown. How do you think Selene will get defeated? I think they're going to have to kill her. It bothers me, but it makes sense. And they can't really let her go out and do stuff. The big variable in that is gonna be if she's gonna exist beyond this arc. Is she gonna get away, or are they gonna have to finish her off before they get to Viernes? Whatever Mishima's plan is, obviously like the big head scratcher for where her character goes beyond Ellen tier. Since Kawaki is also physically strong due to fighting a big dude, how would he fare against Mimi? I don't think he could do anything against Mimi. Because, like, I don't think well, one, I don't think he has karma anymore. He just has the body manipulation, right? I think Mimi would be fine. That's just I think it's just one of those power setups where, even though he, like, sits pretty decent in, like, Boruto and stuff, I don't think that he would do anything against Mimi. I'd have to think about it a little bit more, because, like, he doesn't have, I don't think he has karma. I think he doesn't really have much for jutsu in general right now, does he? Injustice Darkseid versus Fairy Heart Zero. I mean, how powerful is Darkseid in that one anyway? I'm trying to remember. It's like, I remember, obviously, big people in that, like, Trigon and Mixing Piddle and stuff, but where did Darkseid sit? I don't know if I got that far, because I didn't finish it, but I got most of the way in. I just haven't got to the last couple volumes. I mean, I can probably just go with guess Darkseid, considering most versions of Darkseid are going to be absurdly OP. Like, unless it was, like, the animated TV show Darkseid, it'd be one thing, but, like, any form of comic Darkseid, I'm probably just going to go with Darkseid. Like Fairy Heart Zero's broken, but Darkseid is broken. Where was I? Any thoughts on the project you was working on? It'll be over in 2 years. Man, if it's a game, I would actually really like a Heroes game. I don't really know if that's possible to jump that hard, but, like, could you imagine, like, actually, could you imagine a fighting game with a bunch of Hiro Mishima characters? Like, you put Fairy Tail Rave Master and Eden Zero in, like, a hopefully 2D fighting game, but, like, a fighting game. That would be amazing. I think that would be, like, try and do essentially kind of like how Dragon Ball FighterZ is, but, like, with Mishima characters, and just do DLCs of characters coming in and out of it. That would be fun. What's up, Rakeem? How are you doing, man? 25 years old. Wait, 25 years old in 2 years? Oh, wait, what do you mean? I'm confused on that post. Oh, was celebrating his 25 years in business as his one shot will be. You know what? I'm gonna stick with that because I didn't know about the 25 years thing. I'm just gonna go with the whole idea of a Heroes game. A Heroes fighting game would be amazing. I would say, you'd say that Noelle over Juvia in what? I'm not putting Noelle over Juvia. Not like, and even in fighting, I wouldn't even put Noelle over Juvia currently. And as a character, I definitely like Juvia more. I can understand why more people would like Noelle initially, because, you know, she has much more of like she's got way more of like a structured character story, where Juvia's has a lot of like funny Juvia parts in there, but I think Juvia's overall kind of story with Gray is a much more enjoyable story, at least currently. Obviously, she's got way more ground than Noelle has. If Noelle keeps it up, obviously being main cast, being the direct female lead, it'll probably be her, just because, like I said, she'll have way more screen time, and she doesn't have as many silly moments as Juvia has, so you're not going to have nearly as much of, like, the silly moments clouding out, because, like, Juvia does have a lot of goofy simp moments, but, like, Juvia's grown relationship with Gray has been really good, and one of the things I really like about how Mishima does the relationships versus, like, a lot of other mangas, like, they feel way more organic with the way that he's done them. Could Noelle do anything to Juvia? No. What would she possibly do to Juvia? For what you've seen, who's a worse person, Kaido, Doflamingo, or Blackbeard? Oh, Doflamingo. Doflamingo is running stuff with, like, Caesar Clown, where they're, like, experimenting on children and stuff. Like, directly, like, set with him. And then, obviously, what was going on with Dressrosa in their past. Like, Kaido obviously is involved in that too, but, like, Doflamingo was way closer to it and then had as much of his own worst stuff. Because Kaido was, like, a conqueror and, like, doing it for his whole, like, military setup. Whereas, like, Doflamingo seemed to just do a lot of stuff for fun. Which arc of Fairy Tail for Natsu would you say Shiki is comparable to? In terms of what? Fighting? Probably around, like, right now, I would say, maybe, like, Arasion Cesark for the most part, because, like, he hasn't gotten any real hacks yet. He's still pretty strong, but right now he's mostly just hitting heavy, and that was close to, like, Natsu started getting real dangerous when he gained the ability to burn magic, and obviously he took a big power step forward when it came to the Grand Magic Games. Shiki's is strong, but he doesn't have the level of durability. He's not got nearly as much he can kind of do technique wise outside his power. He's still very skilled with it, but I'd like to see Shiki fight without just using his his gravity move. I like seeing Shiki just do like maybe some hand to hand and seeing what he's capable of without his ether gear kind of moving around. I don't really mind it, or if actually I'd really like it if he would do that, but like he'd be moving around just kind of like almost sliding instead of kind of like jumping around or kind of like footing. It would be essentially he's just using his gravity to move around in very minute steps. That'd be pretty cool. But I would say, at least right now, somewhere around Erasion Seis, something like that. Because, like, physically, Natsu was really strong, even in Edelus. Like, he was able to throw the Dorma on him and stuff. And then when we get to Sirius Island, he had so many really good durability feats that I don't really see that Shiki would do comparatively to him. And then, obviously, standing and then doing stuff under Blue Note's gravity would be too much for Shiki to really kind of contend with. I think when we get to Shiki using Black Sky or, Black Heaven or whatever it's called, that'll change because I'm assuming that's going to be hacks or at least really powerful. But we'll see on that one. It's really weird because I'd expect Shiki to be higher with his overdrive, but at the moment, at least, his overdrive is mostly just a power boost. And it's not like overdrive isn't nearly as much of a massive surge as what actual Dragon Force does. Not like the Lacrima based Dragon Force, they get like 2nd and 3rd gen. Libe versus Deku. I mean, I'm gonna go with Deku. I mean, Libe can't do anything. You think Irene will come back? Yes, I did a video on it. You should go check it out. Would you say Sure is a psychopath or a sociopath? I'm definitely a psychopath. So Ziggy's a planet buster? No, he's not. The Grand Bell planet is not Earth size. And the one that Xenolith messed with on Forestra was island sized. It wasn't planet sized. People really got to look into the sizes of these islands. It's funny because it's the reverse way of how it was with Fairy Tail with some of the islands. Or sorry, they got to do stuff with the planets. They got to get to find them because with them, the islands and some of the land masses in Fairy Tail were actually bigger than, say, like Fiore was a small country. He's a small country in the lore, but due to the information, it's way bigger. It's actually the size of a continent in real world sizes. Whereas, like, the planets have varied so much in size in Eden Zero, and people seem to just want to jump on and make things planet level in stats without actually looking into the size of things. And I don't know, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of inflating things for the sake of inflation. I think that's when things get very dishonest and disingenuous. I mean, we're probably going to get further crazy numbers, like, obviously, as Eden Zero progresses. I still, personally, I know it's probably not the popular opinion, I'm still hoping Mishima just focuses more on, like, hacks powers and then leaves like the big power level feats to the ships and like military grade weaponry, just because I wanted to maintain the sci-fi aspect of it with like space battleships, because that's one of the things that it has that like Fairy Tail and Wraithmaster don't have. That it's like an identity piece that I really do like that Eden Zero has. And I know the people who pick Eden Zero over the other two are going to want crazier power levels. But I just like the identity that Eden Zero has with that. But I'm not going to complain if Mishima does end up like outright having people bust planets and stuff. That's not a big deal to me. But Ziggy can take a lot of people in Fairy Tail and Wraithmaster. I mean, on top of that, he doesn't really have much for speed feats right now. He just has basic kind of like gravity pressurizing stuff. He doesn't really have much for hacks. And like I said, we need to find out how big Grand Bell is. But Grand Bell doesn't seem very big. It's similar to Forestra, where it just has pretty much one location on it. Whereas if there was a planet in the series that I would say is like Earth-sized, it would be Blue Garden, because it seems like that is a large planet, lots of stuff going on it, lots of activity, lots of people. Let me keep going. Can full Demon Asta beat Natsu since he gained true magic? No. The Asta would get the hell beat out of him. Like, I've had to explain that so many times, but it's like, Asta doesn't instant beat somebody with magic. Even when we saw the fight with Lilith and Nama, we saw near the end that Lilith was actually way faster, but she just was, being stupid. If she fought seriously, it might have been different. But we also know that Asta's weakness, he's weak to people that are better, that can one, keep up or are faster than him, physically stronger than him, better close combat fighters than him, And Natsu was all of those things. Like, Asta obviously has anti-magic, but, like, Natsu would just dodge attacks and then box him. And then just beat the hell out of him. He would just punch the shit out of him and just put him in the dirt. And on top of that, his anti-magic wouldn't even be able to fully negate dragon magic. Because on top of being magic, dragon slaying magic has the dragon attribute. The dragon power is a separate thing. Clad onto Dragon Slayer magic, that way that they can utilize magic in a way to hurt dragons. Similar to how Devil Slaying is also a curse. It has two different power aspects clad together. It's like Devil Slaying and Dragon Slaying are primarily magic, but they have something outside of their ability, like outside of their power system, added onto it for, you know, the uses of what they need that specific power for. Like, imagine if it, like, the spirit magic was a completely different thing. Like, if spirit power was like how it was in Black Clover and it wasn't spirit magic, imagine it was like it was spirit power, and it'd be like how Spirit Dive would be like, oh, magic plus this spirit power instead. It's just it's a variation of how the power works that I also don't think Asta would be able to fully deal with, and he would be seeing stars. Natsu would be just throwing hands at him. Oh, do you think it's better than better mentors like Yami, Gojo, and stuff? I mean, I wish we got to see more with Xenolith. I don't think he's a better mentor than Yami, though. Satoru isn't a mentor? Yes, he is. I mean, he literally took Yuji to go teach him during his fight with Jogo. Yeah, down bad for simping for your boss. Never simp for your... If somebody's boss did something really cool, like gave them like some form of like extra bonus, or just did something that was really cool, like in general, an outright just Chad move, I'd say sure. But just simping for your boss in general, man, don't do that. If you were somebody that had a rare cool boss, awesome, but don't simp for him. Appreciate him, but man, don't simp for the person that you work for. Fauna did become stronger even without Salamander. She got better magic. She didn't become stronger. Like, I don't really say she got stronger. Like, she had no offensive abilities. She just could regenerate. So can't believe the Mother's Basement tried to say that us getting cloned by Mirror World doesn't make sense. It's a weird one. I can kind of understand it, but at the same time, it's like, you gotta understand that it's a mirror dimension that it's being used. I can kind of see like like a little bit to it, but not the same thing. Cause like what we saw, when we saw Mars use the Phoenix Robe to help heal Asta, I mean, that worked. It's not like it instantly canceled things out. Has been stated, dragons are more powerful than gods in Fairy Tail. Some dragons are, not all of them. Dragon Slayers would be better than God Slayers. I think that's just a magic thing. My guess has always been God Slaying wasn't invented by gods. I think it was Dragon Slaying, though, was invented by a person. It was alongside a dragon, so I would assume that they took part, whereas like Devil Slaying and God Slaying, I think, were way more human influenced. But I would guess that it's like the threshold is crazier, because like we've seen what dragons can do. God Slay's basically punching bags. Not a punching bag, but it's like, the way that I would say it is having Godslayer next to your name is like it's like doing meth. They're great for a short period of time, and then it's just tumble. They're gonna fall down a hill, and you might be lucky to recover to some degree, but you're never gonna recover fully. Does Boruto still have karma? I think so. How many chapters do you think the Spade arc has left? I mean, I think we're still only in chunks. We're only, 5-6 volumes? And because you got to keep in mind, everything up and through the Elf arc was one collective set of stories. They were their own arcs that had ties that moved towards it. It's very similar to how the arcs in Fairy Tail were leading up to Sirius Island. Do the students would become top tier? Yeah, like he's picking people specifically to train and get stronger. I mean, Big Mom had an arc, and yet she's made it to Wano, so it's pretty fire if Selene made it to Ignea's arc. I'm hoping so. Do you think Lucia was a bad leader in Demon Card? Because from what I remember, he didn't utilize his forces well against Haru and Co. Oh, he's fine. He was a fine leader. He wasn't amazing, but he was good at what he did. I like Lucia's character, though. I thought he was a pretty good character. Mars would probably beat Max. No, I don't know about that. Just based off current scaling, I would give it to Max. I would definitely say, like, a big thing that would be a factor in that would just be Max Max's moveset. Does he have something like Sandworld? If he had something like Sandworld, I think he would clap. Because he should have the potency to do the damage. I think it would really just depend on his moveset. But we've seen, obviously, like his fight with Natsu, he can deal with fire. He can deal with heavy hits. So Mars is dangerous because obviously he's got a way bigger moveset. But Max has just, he's got better scaling, and he's dealt with somebody who hits harder and has more dangerous fire, essentially. What are your thoughts on Kaiju number 8? Will you be doing videos on it? I'm not sure if I want to do videos on it. I like it, though. I kind of like... There are some series I like to read without doing videos on it, just because I don't want to do a video on everything. And there's already a bunch of people doing Kaiju number 8, so I kind of want to just be like... I kind of want to keep Kaiju number 8 similar to how I do it now, where I talk about it on Twitter sometimes, and then I talk about it sometimes in streams, but I read it mostly and kind of like keep it on the side. Kind of like, I was going to do that with, I was going to review Fire Force for a bit, but I decided to kind of switch it to do the same thing, and kind of just have it more as like something I read and enjoy without having to do the content for. Deku versus Asta claps. Sad Kana isn't utilized much. I agree. I really hope she gets some form of, arc role within Under Year's Quest. I don't need her to be like MVP of an arc, but I'm hoping she could just show up and join in. Since Gaara controls Santorum, how would Agio fare against? Agio would clap Gaara so quick. He would literally like he'd just get up to him, use Rommel Scythe, and just cut him down. Gaara's like I don't. What is Gaara's even specialty? Like he's got his automatic, obviously defense with his Gourd Sand. But I don't think he has anything really that beats Agio. Agio's got more range. He's got more dangerous hacks. He's got more dangerous abilities. He's a better fighter. Like, Gaara was more of like standing in places and then, you know, manipulating sand. He was like a stationary earthbender. But Agio just scales so much better. He's got better feats. He's got a better moveset. It's funny how One Punch Man's power scalers try to say Saitama beats Goku. That's silly. The thing is, like, even in the idea of trying to take Saitama seriously, you still have to look at, like, where his feet sit. You can't just say that he beats everybody. Like, I get the joke, but you would still, like, in trying to use him in a serious fight, you would have to be serious enough to understand how that would work. He would get feats and stats up to where he goes, like where his again, where his feats are currently at and what he's shown to do. But it's not like he's just like one-shotting Superman or something. He's stupid. It doesn't just because like, oh, he's got One Punch Man, so he definitely can one-punch anybody. It's like, no, he can beat people in his verse, but he can't just go to some other series and start clapping people. You know, just cause. There has to be the obvious reasons, stuff like stats and feats and not abilities. Who's your favorite out of Haru, Natsu, and Shiki? Oh, I mean, out of these ones, like, obviously Natsu and Lucy. Like, yeah, Fairy Tail's my favorite for a reason, and, like, it has my favorite cast for a reason. Like, I really like Haru, I like Shiki, I like Ellie, I like Rebecca, but Natsu and Lucy are my favorites. What do you think about the Naruto War arc? It's the thing that's always weird is like how much of the total of the series it takes up. But I thought it was fine overall. The only thing that really bothered me is like a lot of the side characters didn't get enough spotlight for them. Debates aren't fun if it's one-sided. Yeah, bait. If you can catch a good bait fight, those are fun. Because I've been on and off again debating Sabo on Twitter because he keeps trying to say Kaido can take Arthur, which is ridiculous. Arthur from Fire Force. And it's like, after these last couple chapters especially, no way. I was trying to bait him into Kaido versus Selene, and I think that he caught wind that I was doing it and didn't respond. If he bit onto that, I was going to be so excited to tell him. Just to see, like, the idea of, like, him saying that Kaido stood a chance, and then I jump on that and then just have the Selene hype thread. My novel hit 10k views. Oh, nice. That's pretty sweet, man. Is there a way to monetize that? Or is there, like, or if it gets high enough, would you be able to get, like, ad revenue or something? Or would it just be the site? I mean, I guess if there was a way to do that, like, maybe the site would be able to give you money. I don't know. I don't know how that works. How many more gates do you think will open at the current time? Oh, at this current time? My guess is about halfway. Like, the furthest I believe they would get in gates this arc would be 5. That's my guess. 4 is probably like a better area, but I don't know. Injustice, Black Adam versus Laxus, yeah, man, Black Adam. These are guys that fight with people like Superman and Wonder Woman and The Flash. Think we'll get to see a gray Demon Force during Hunter's Quest? I'm hoping we see that next damn chapter. How far does Romeo make it in Black Clover? Not very far. Romeo versus Nash. There's the fight, but I mean, he could beat like low level people just based off of a couple of feats. He's weird. I always really wish Mishima just gave him like a really low level fight in Alvarez. If I got to add something like very small in Alvarez that didn't really change the scale of what Mishima did, but kind of just added small snippets in there, I would have had lesser characters fight Spriggan minions and just had like some form of way to have Romeo in a fight. I would have really liked, but unfortunately Romeo doesn't get that. Maybe he'll be like Konohamaru, where in a next gen thing he'll get more of a spot. Natsu versus Naruto. I'm going Natsu. He's got better hacks. He's got a higher threshold. He's still growing. Like Barry and Naruto is peak Naruto. Natsu, so far at least, the power up he used on Mercephobia is peak Natsu. You put those against each other, I'm going with Natsu. That power up was absurd, and it was broken. He had the whole fire of burning concepts and stuff. Suzaku versus Shinsui. Oh, Suzaku was blitz. Shinsui has, at least currently, a better ability, because obviously his Bankai is ridiculous. But I think Suzaku would just slice him up before then. Suzaku's speed so far is crazy. Like, we haven't gotten anything for hacks, but we've gotten just, like, obviously raw power and speed. I can't wait. Once we get a couple more feats of him, if he can get a hacks, I can't wait to make some matches with him. That's the only thing I'm waiting for him. It's like, I want to get some more stuff on Scoleon so I could start, setting that debate. So that's one of the harder things right now with obviously being bi-weekly, is it's taking longer to get to certain things with characters. I guess maybe in a way it just feels like that, because we don't have a lot of chapters that feel like they're just kind of like, they're there. Like, not like, oh yeah, not a lot happened in this chapter kind of thing. We usually 100 Years Quest, like, stuff moves. We get a lot of on-point chapters. I'm fully bought on. Chapters would be pay to read. Oh, that's good. Apparently, I'm reading Twitter. Eden Zero is at second most anime. Watch anime in the spring span. Good. That is good news to hear. Everyone claps Kaido, even ants. I mean, I'm not going to put Kaido down that bad. Do I ship Lax and Mary Jane? No. I actually really like the Laxus and Curious ship. I'm not a huge fan on ships that don't make sense. I do think the Laxus and Mira ship can make sense. So I've never been against it, but I would definitely say that out of Laxus's ship potential people, that Kiri is my favorite. Yeah, I think that Suzaku could counter Shinsui's Bankai. I don't think he could counter it. It would really just depend on, like... I don't think that Shinsui would get to the mindset of needing... Of like, oh, I should use my Bankai before Suzaku just cuts him down. Kawaki's at 80% Orotsuki. It's saying something. But what feats does he really have outside of like his karma stuff is what I'm saying. And he doesn't have the whole energy absorption. He just seems to be like physical strength and body manipulation. But his physical strength doesn't seem to be anywhere close to Mimi's. Because Mimi should still be Spriggan level in terms of stats. And what we know about her is that's pretty much physical strength and durability and her sturdiness, but that's it. My favorite Black Clover ship? I mean, I like Asta and Noelle, but I will probably say Mars and Fauna. I do really like Mars and Fauna. I think they're a pretty nice one to set up right now. Is there anything else? Do you feel Undi not bringing up the Saint or Sanctuary during the 6-month time skip while also not bring Fuego Leon or Yuno to train? Yeah, I'm a little annoyed about that part. I'm like, why wouldn't she bring that up if they had that amount of time? Because I didn't take the amount of time into account when I was really thinking about it over the last few days. Because I was thinking, well, she didn't just tell him for whatever reason. But it's like, you had 6 months. It's kind of like how I say that Sting and Rogue, if Sting and Rogue came back into the arc and they didn't... It was revealed that they didn't even really do anything over, like, the, essentially Unison Raid Dragon Force. If they didn't have any form of conversation or any way of training towards that, I think it'd be stupid, because it'd be like, well, how does that make sense? I get, like, why Undine didn't want to give it to Lolo, because she didn't want to have her be anything other than, like, how kind and nice she was. But it's like, what about these other people? What reason did she have over 6 months not to do anything about Fuego Leon or Yuno? Has it been said if Natsu is immune to time stop, even when not E&D? It's an E&D based ability, and we saw it also when Zeref stopped time and Natsu was fine. And it's stated in the volume also like, oh, it's an E&D thing. But on top of that, nobody in the main cast can be affected really by time stop. Anybody adjacent to Ultir is not affected. Main cast and then Jalal and Merdi should be completely fine if somebody stops time. Akanogi versus Endless. Akanogi eats the Endless. When he's thinking a bit and learning more about magic and Elantir is good. She's not going to overstay. When they all decide to leave, she's going to go too. There's no way Wendy would stick around. Like, they're on a mission. Team Natsu stays in. I mean, they're going to get all their stuff in Elantir. All their training and like advancements is going to be in Elantir right now. I don't think they would leave and come back. I mean, they could, but it'd be really strange. Which is worse, what Gajil did to Shadowgear, what Lucy or what Shura did to Shining Star? Oh, he did to. What Shura is doing is worse. Gajil just went to go rough people up. Shura looks like his intentions are to eventually kill them, which is completely different. We know that Gajil was a bad dude, but he was like a scumbag. He wasn't evil, whereas Shura is clearly fine with murder. He doesn't seem to have much hesitation when he decides he wants to kill somebody to immediately go and try and kill them. Whereas Gajil, again, he was a bad guy, but he wasn't irredeemable, and he wasn't like off the deep end. But anyway, other than that though, we've been going for a bit. I'm gonna end the stream. I hope everyone is having a good time. Normal time again next week. We got next Saturday, and then a Fairy Tail chapter one after that. I'm very excited. Have you read Monster Soul? Yeah, I've read that one. I actually I had a quick conversation with was it Sakamoto, who did like Buster Keel, he did the Happy spinoff. I was hoping like something like, hey, is there any way that you could convince Mishima to let you do that? And he's like, I remember I talked to him briefly. He's just like, oh, I don't really know, because it was, it's his series, and I was hoping so bad I could just convince him to bring it up with Mishima about it, but I don't think he did. Will there be a future war on 100 Years Quest? Oh, I think so. Eventually, they could have like a bigger calamity. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream. What do you think is wait? Good job of giving Wendy Natsu the equal time to shine. Wait, what? Oh yeah, they give all the main cast. Yeah, Mishima has always been really good at giving stuff for the main cast. And again, that's one of the things I like about. I think Mishima is top tier at building the main cast of all of his series. All three of his series, his primary ones, like his long running ones, have had crisp, excellent main casts. All of them. Like, even though I like obviously the Fairy Tail main cast more, I still really like the Rave Master main cast. I still really like the Eden Zero Rave main cast. The Diablo's Dragon Eater Exceed against, man, that would be cool. I would love a Dragon Eater Exceed. That'd be fun. But anyway, other than that, I never really thought about that, but that would be really cool. Some bad guy for Happy. But yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. I appreciate everyone for coming in. Well, like I said, Saturday next week we're gonna also have a stream, and then obviously the Tuesday after that for 100 Years Quest 100 Years Quest chapter days, Tuesdays or Saturdays, and then every other Tuesday. I was gonna make this one a little longer, but like I said, I started late, so hopefully next week it'll be a bit longer. We'll try to aim for 2 hours. I'll try and prepare some topics. Well, maybe we'll do some fights. Maybe that is what I'll do. Maybe I'll try and come up with some matches, and we'll discuss it during the stream, or I'll maybe make a post on Twitter, and then we can, or here on the community tab, and then we'll maybe run a poll, and then winning ones we'll discuss in depth more on the streams. But anyway, other than that though, thanks everyone for showing up, and I really appreciate thank you, last second subscriber Kieran Longhurst. I appreciate you.